Yo, ladies and gentlemen, week 3. This is our 3rd episode of our podcast, Better Word Than Blurred. Myself, Matt Lucas, and my homeboy,
Issue X.
and we are here again. And if you only knew what we had to go through to get here.
Boy, oh boy.
But we're here.
We had to go through. Man, we went through it, but here we are.
We did. Hey, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm really proud of us to actually get to this point because I'm not that I'm like a quitter, but I understand that in the beginning there are like hiccups and stuff like that. But for us to have pushed through, figure out a solution, and then be able to actually still record, that those are the kind of things that the weaker podcasts they would fold under that. They would crumble. You know what I mean?
I have no experience with that, but listen, I'm here. You know what I mean? And trust me, I was frustrated. We had some frustrations, some hurdles, but yeah, like you said, we got over them and not going to die on the little hills. It's going to be a big one.
No, we're here.
It's going to be a
So,
big one.
before we get started with our weekly check-in, I owe you a huge apology, and I'm going to do it right now. Okay? I am so sorry because we went through 2 podcast episodes. And I do believe that the first podcast episode that we did was the week of your Iconicon. Is that correct?
That was the second one.
The second one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because I thought I know you fucking lying.
That could be. It's off. It was July 13th. So,
bro, did you just see those balloons go up on my screen?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
All right. So July 13th.
But I'm more interested in this apology.
Yeah, because this is
no balloon. I'm just messing with you.
No, real talk though, because I felt like I thought 2 episodes went by, and two episodes went by, and we had not really talked very much about how that went, how Iconicon went, and what it was. We kind of just breezed over it, you know what I mean? And I really would love to give you an opportunity to kind of like just give us a little bit about, one, what was the big deal with this, right? I know it was your first convention, your first ever comic convention, right? So congratulations for that. You know what I mean? Congratulations are in order.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
That's huge. That's a huge thing. And tell us a little bit about how that went. Was it a 1-day event? Was it 2 days?
It was a 1-day event.
A 1-day event. All right. So yeah,
it was Sunday, July 13th.
Okay.
It's a really dope event, something I conceived a couple months ago. It's something I've been wanting to do for some years now. Like I always wanted to get my company, Comic Sense, to a point where we could bring something like that to the community, our own Comic-Con. I always tell people, like, I want the East Coast. I want people to look at Western New York like they look at like San Diego Comic-Con or New York Comic-Con. I want them to, when they come to Western New York, I want this community to have that same type of vibe because it's a dope community. So yeah, I did a Comic-Con. It was free admission. And I got a lot of hate, which I was around for. I knew it was coming. A lot of the old guard in the community felt some type of way because I think at first I was charging $15 per table for vendors. Artists were free. And then I just waived all of the fees and I just covered the cost out of my pocket. And I just wanted to make sure that all of the retailers are going to be successful, that we have something new and dope in this community. There are some really dope cons here, but listen, I threw my hat into the ring. And I intend to continue to participate in this sport and just bring something really dope to this community. So yeah, it was dope. We had a lot of people turn out. Kids left with something free, which is, I always wanted to make sure, I always want to take care of the kids. So they all left with something cool and free. And it was really dope. Nice turnout. A lot of vendors showed up, participated. Everybody made money, which is, what I was hoping would be the case. Everybody made money and it was really cool. So we're going to try to do it again. Next year and then do it more often as well. So yeah, okay. Iconicon.
So Iconicon 25 was a success.
It was a success.
Well, congratulations to you, brother. That's awesome. Again, I apologize for breezing over that. We didn't really jump into that. We were so anxious to get into our topics. And every time I do a watch back, I'm just thinking to myself, like, man, I really want to get you to share some of that. How stressful was it to put that together? Was it kind of like natural, or was it like a pain? Like how much work goes into setting up a Comic-Con like that?
Oh, it's crazy. So I guess for me, the benefit was I know a lot of people in this community. A lot of people in the comic community know who I am. I have a level of credibility. I'm a comic guy. So I have a high level of credibility. A lot of people know who I am. Everybody in the city who's in comics, who matters, I know them. They know me. So while that is a gift, it is also a curse, right? You know how politics work, bruh. You know what it is when the old guard doesn't want to pass the torch, so to speak. They feel some type of way. So the hurdles came politically, right? Like people tried to cancel the venue. They tried to, nitpicky as far as they tried to, claim some sort of copyright on my table arrangements. Like all the real talk, bro. And I had to kiss some rings. That was the biggest hurdle too, right? It was like, listen, you're not gonna stop me. So I feel like I come from the streets. I come from a certain type of upbringing, military and streets. So I feel like, yo, you kind of respect the people who came before. You have to kind of give people the respect. The people who laid down the foundation and the groundwork, you got to kind of give them respect. You know what I mean? And those people happen to be, haters. They just are. They don't wanna pass torches. They're haters, and, I'm a student of the art of war, so it just occurred to me, a couple people told me like, "Yo, you're never gonna get this person. He's gonna work against you. He's gonna da da da. He's been doing this for whatever," and the last time someone tried to do a con and they asked him for advice or this person or that person for advice, they got really upset, like, "You didn't ask me, da 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 da. You didn't get my permission." I'm like, "Yo," in my mind, like, I wanna win. Like, nothing is gonna stop me, so I know how to pacify people, right? Because I'm trying to bring this community to a certain level and a rising tide raises all ships, which means I have to drag you kicking and streaming, screaming. You listen, we're going up. So get on the boat or get off. But just that the biggest hurdle was other people in this community who've been operating 40, 50 years who felt some type of way. That was the hurdle. Everything else, the advertising, the getting people to come, you're a comic collector. Here, there's a con and it's free and you can bring your kid and they can get something free. You probably gonna come. You know what I mean? So again, the biggest hurdle is the people around me who you think are your friends. You patronize them for years since you were kids. You think they're your friends, and lo and behold, when it comes down to, yo, how many more years you got, bro? 10? I'm talking of life. I'm not even trying to be shady, like, of life. How many more years you got? Like, really? You can't pass the torch? I don't need your torch. I told a couple people, "Listen, I'm gonna do this with or without your blessing, but I'm coming to you because I respect you, because I bought books from you were a kid. So I just kinda wanna let you know this is what I'm doing. And, I don't need your blessing, but, respectfully, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm here." Anyway, that's what it is.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. Yo, I mean, like, unfortunately, I think that our generation being the hard charging, like, innovators we are and go-getters that we are, a lot of people who where that wasn't like the normal thing, right? They see a young, energetic, you know, entrepreneur, and there's a level of intimidation, or they feel threatened. um you know Especially when you start to redefine and change the rules of the game around you and how they're played. People don't like change, so I absolutely understand the the challenges and the pain that comes with that. So, but kudos to you for sticking through that and getting through it, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man, I
So
appreciate
again,
it.
yeah,
I wanna say, to those who listen, to those who watch us every week, yo, shout out to you all. Really appreciate it. Can't thank you enough for your support, for your comments, for the things that you take to listen, I always tell people time is more valuable than money. So if you're taking your time out of your day to leave a comment, to watch us, I good, bad, indifferent, ugly, whatever the case may be, love it. Can't tell you how much we appreciate you. And to that end, and I know Matt's gonna go forward, but to that end, Matt, we discussed some stuff, right? We discussed comments of the week.
we did. Indeed, we did. It's been a week, so to speak. A couple hot takes kind of got a little heat underneath them. You know, um, Listen, everything we say here is just how our genuine absolute opinion. We don't do the shock value stuff. We don't do things for clicks and likes, but we just happen to be two independent thinkers that are not afraid of expressing those opinions. And one of those opinions was not popular. And man, let me tell you, they tried to cream me on TikTok. But here we are. Um, but we'll get to that. Let me ask, how's your week been?
Stressful, but yet here we are. So I can't complain, right? Like very, very, very stressful week. Very busy, very stressful. I had to reorganize some schedules, and listen, it was stressful. I'm tired right now. In this moment, I am tired. However, we're gonna push through. What about your week, man?
So my week was it was very productive. I'll put it that way. Um we obviously we shot, and after we finished shooting the second episode, it was a race to try to see if I can turn around the final edit quicker than I did last time. And I ended up having to go to Kingman, Arizona for work. Yeah. And on the ride down there, because it's like 2 hours, that's where I did all the real cutting and all the cutting for the video chunks that we have. Like, because we obviously segment out our videos so we can maximize how much content that we have available, and not everybody wants to sit through 2 hours of two niggas talking all day. You know what I mean? So sometimes someone would rather digest something that's a little shorter. But yeah, that happened. Work's been crazy. I had family come in town. um I think I started my week off by watching Fantastic Four.
Yeah,
um
yeah, we both
we're
watched it.
definitely we're definitely gonna have to talk about that. But I did have something really cool happen. But I'm gonna ask you first. Did you get any new pickups this week?
Of course, every week. The answer is gonna be yes every week until it's not.
Okay, okay. I'm gonna tell you, it's not gonna be every week for me, and there's a very good reason for that. So if I get a pickup, it's because something aligned. So what'd you get? What'd you get, man?
Well, it's a couple things, right? So I had a really dope collection come into the shop the other day. Really, really dope. So I snagged a couple books out of that collection for myself. But before that, and shout out to the homie Comic Sam. I'm gonna give him a shout out too, by the way. He helped me complete my run of the independent and very popular it's comic book called Black. I don't know if y'all are familiar with that. It is called Black. This was a very dope my light might this was a very dope comic book that came out I want to say 2015 or 16ish. It's about a world where some black people are gifted superpowers and they have to live in this world, and you can imagine that in a world where only black people are gifted superpowers. It is not unlike the world we live in now, as far as exploitation and you know uh the race to use those people. So yeah, but this is really, really cool, right? So one of these, what this has a recall cover, and obviously these covers were very striking. These covers caused some controversy. This is an option property too, by the way. Real, this is some real nerd culture stuff right here. Y'all know one of the things I'm into is 80s pop culture comics, comics that um speak to the 80s. This is Time Bandits from the very great film that dropped in the 80s, Time Bandits. If y'all never saw it, just to check it out because it's really dope. And then I got first appearance of Cloak and Dagger.
Nice, very nice.
Yeah, man. It's Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man number 64. This is better when we do it during the day. It's night here, so I got a bunch of lights on glaring off of the books. This is always better when we do it during the day, but that's what it is. That's what I got. I got the first appearance of Firestar again, but I don't know where I put it at, so I'm not gonna worry about it.
Well, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool pickups. Very cool. I got a couple things too.
Yeah,
I
yeah, man. You said I'm gonna feel some type of way.
maybe.
It's a Power Ranger.
Actually, no. This is Fans Toys uh FT-31, named Marauder. Actually, only the, one character, and then the rest of the parts of the kit that forms the giant robot. And that's what it is. It's actually Minosaur from G1 Transformers. I don't think I told anybody, but I actually collect G1 Transformers as well. And, this is him.
Have you seen my G1 Megatron? Oh, that's dope. That's really dope.
Look at the size of this monster,
Yeah,
dude.
it's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, that's fire.
Yeah, and so I spent like 2 hours putting them together. I mean, you could see it. It's a combiner transformer. There's a
So
piece that I'm missing,
it
actually.
takes 2 hours to put it together?
No, it took 2 hours for me to figure out some things because it's like the engineering on these things are crazy intricate, and, yeah, a lot of it was spent trying to figure out how to get these arm pieces to wrap around the figures and stuff. Like, it was nuts, but it was a good time. I mean, it's part of the fun is trying to figure out. It's like a temporary Rubik's Cube until I figure it out, you know?
That sword is blinging.
Yeah, it's chrome. It's a chrome sword. Yeah, no, that
Mm,
so that's my pickup for the week. It was that Minotaur. I got another one, but,
that's
if that was
really dope.
cool. There you go. Yeah, that's Ollie from, X Transbots. It's,
That's really cool.
it's a, and so they name them different names because they can't call them, because that's what,
Yeah, yeah. I
yeah,
remember
like
that toy.
y yeah, and so,
That wasn't
it's
G1 though.
it was G1. Yeah, it
That
was
toy?
Wheelie. Yeah, it was Wheelie from the, movie. And
Yeah,
G1,
wheelie.
yeah, Wheelie is actually a G1 character that came from the movie. That's all G1. All of that stuff. Hot Rod, G1.
Hot Rod,
Blur,
Cup, all of them.
all
Springer.
all G1. It's all considered Gen 1.
You know, I have a in the box complete Megatron.
That's cool. That's very
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah. It's my
That's very,
thing.
very
That's the
cool.
one for me. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of, people that collect differently in the Transformer community. I specifically collect what's called Masterpiece Scale. Or MP scale, and they're the ones that are just, like, really big and really accurate to the cartoon. It's like the toys you wished you imagined you had are, you know what I mean, like, are what they are now. So,
So my problem is, and it's a problem for me when it comes to toys. It's the reason why I don't collect toys and I collect comics because one, I can't do both, right? It's expensive habit, and two, for me, the problem is I set up these elaborate battle scenes. I couldn't just sit it somewhere on a shelf and just let it sit there. I just
that's
couldn't do it,
yeah, that's
even
that's
at my
absolutely
age,
you
and I'll be
absolutely should
50
do that.
tomorrow. I couldn't do it,
You
right?
absolutely should do that. I don't wanna
No,
breeze
I
past your
couldn't.
birthday because that's awesome, 50. But that's what you're supposed to do with them. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
set up
yeah,
really cool, like, scenes. I for a while, I used them
yeah,
as
but I wouldn't
fidget
just leave it to
toys.
sit. Like I'd have an action sequence and then play it out, and then all right, and I'd play with my
Li
toys,
like
like have an action sequence. You
like
know,
like like like
Cup
taking 2
died
of them.
today. The Sharktacon, feed him to the Sharktacons type. Like I'd all of that.
Yo, I haven't done that since, I played Transformers with my kid. When Aiden was collecting Transformers, we would play Transformers, and I would, do the "You're supposed to fall," or "You're supposed to die," "I shot you," or whatever, those things. Yeah, it was a good time when we were a kid, but,
Listen, I
yeah.
have a vivid and proactive imagination, and I recall I'd go to my friend's house. My man Chuck, shout out to Chuck, and his son, little Chuck, would have he had this crazy like wrestling collection.
Oh, yeah?
And I'd go over there and he'd be like, "Yo, issue crazy," because I'd dump the whole box out with Chuck. We'd have them all over the floor. We'd create factions. We'd set up matches. We'd like whole venue. Like, yeah,
How old were you?
late 20s, maybe early 30s.
Okay, cool, awesome. One more thing, I didn't talk about this week, and people are making a bigger deal out of it than they ought to. I got a haircut. I got really tired of, my hair being in my face, like on my cheek. It was, like, so long, and, you know, it was just as a mess to deal with, and eventually I just got sick of it. I watched.
Looks good.
Thank you, thank you. I watched The Acolyte, and there's a character on The Acolyte named Yord, and, when I saw his locks and how they were cut, I really liked them because they weren't quite like the Killmonger cut, right? But it was definitely like it was to the side and it was styled, and I just really thought it was cool, and so, I went to my barber, my hairstylist, and I
Did
was
you
like,
go with a
"Hey."
photo? You
Oh,
you pulled out the
absolutely.
phone, it was like, "I want
100%.
this."
Yeah, I was like, "Hey, hey, make me hot, B, make me hot." So, she hooked it
I
up.
see the beard is gone, the
Yeah.
mustache is gone.
Oh, God bless, yes. So, for those that didn't know, probably like 2 months ago, I got really sick, and I was down for probably like a solid 12, 14 days, missed work and everything, and I didn't shave during that time, and so when I started to recover, I just did not shave, and so I that's how I just ended up with this mustache. I don't normally like wearing facial hair, you know? And so, I'm as I'm editing with my son, we ended up stumbling on a hard drive with some old Revenge of the Nerd, footage, and, when I watched it, I played it, and he saw it and was like, "Dad, whoa, you looked so young back then." And I'm like, "Bro, that was last year, man." Like, I'm
Back
like, "Alright."
then.
I'm like, "Alright, cool, this has gotta go." So I promptly went right upstairs and, yeah, I cut it all off, much to my wife's dismay because she was not happy that I cut it off, but, for her, she said it made me look like a zaddy. I'm like,
Like a
"I'm
what?
a zaddy."
Have no idea, what is that?
I don't know, like a daddy that's hot, I guess, I don't know.
Zaddy?
A
Not a
zaddy.
Hattie?
Yeah, nah, it's zaddy, so but whatever. I mean, like, I'm not that old to be a zaddy. I feel like zaddies should be, like, in their 60s and wearing, like, pinstripe suits with hats and shit. Yeah, that's not me, you know? So but, but that was my week and, my pickups for the week. I also, um, you know, it for a lot of people, it was a very tough week. We endured a lot of losses this week. Some major, major celebrities, that played major, major roles in a lot of our upbringing, and a lot of our childhood, we lost Malcolm Jamal Warner. Uh, we lost Ozzy Osbourne. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's sad, right? Because you don't appreciate what you got till it's gone, right? Malcolm Jamal Warner, I grew up with Theo, right? Theo Huxtable was the guy. Is
So, I didn't grow up watching The Cosby Show in syndication, I watched it in real time, right? Like, the episodes that were dropping when I was growing up were brand new, and I recall for being a Black person growing up in America, right, it was you had to watch The Cosby Show. If you're in my age group, you had to watch The Cosby Show every week, you had to. You didn't miss an episode of The Cosby Show, so that was our family on TV, and, yeah, there were some things that weren't, what many of us could relate to, right? Like, many of us didn't grow up with 2 parents in the household. Certainly, our parents weren't doctors, you know what I mean? But this is the closest thing that we got to see to what it could be like and what it should be like, you know what I mean? And Theo Huxtable was a part of that. Like, this was our family, Lisa Bonet and Rudy and,
Tempest Bledsoe.
yeah, Tempest Blood. So like this was you didn't miss it. You didn't miss this and then 227, A Different World, but it was the Cosby Show that,
Keisha.
say again?
Keisha. Keisha. Keisha
Yo,
Knight Poem. Keisha.
Keisha Knight Podium, that was your
Bro.
people's?
Keisha.
She's too
Bro.
young. For me, it was, I was older.
Nah, I think we was probably in the same age bracket, me and her. Like, you know what I mean? We
Yeah,
was
not
we was pretty
not
close.
I. Not I. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so definitely, and I didn't watch Malcolm and I didn't watch the other show. And out of sight, out of mind, Malcolm Jamal Warner isn't someone that you think about every day. But when you hear something as tragic as his passing and in the way that it happened, it resonates when you realize, sometimes we take things for granted, and then you realize, like, wait a minute, I just lost a part of my childhood. And for me this week, thrice over, right? Like 3 times over because we lost Malcolm, and then as you speak about Ozzy.
So here's the thing. I'm a music guy, and I know that in our genre of hip hop, there's a lot of sampling, but I couldn't tell you specifically what songs belong to what when it came to Ozzy Osbourne. So I did like a little math. Like, I did some history, I was at work and we kinda looked into it, and, yo, he is involved in some major, major songs, you know what I mean? And then I listened to some of his music, and as somebody that can appreciate rock, I was like, "Yo, he has a very, very unique voice." And, one of my coworkers was telling me that he was a voice of a generation, I don't know if you're familiar with Ozzy Osbourne at all?
I'm very familiar. First of all, I'm a hip hop head. I'm a music head though, right? And 70s and 80s rock has been on my playlist for as long as I can remember. Um, Ozzy was first brought to my attention. I'm a wrestling fan, so I listened. My favorite tag team ever was the Road Warriors, and
Oh, I
before they
remember
had that
them.
"Oh What a Rush" theme song, it was that "I am Iron Man," and it would just start off with that. And it caught you, like, you knew something was gonna happen, and it was Ozzy. And I remember growing up as a kid, we'd have these rumors, like, Ozzy worshiped the devil, and he bit off the heads of bats at his concert and, you know, had everyone spit in a bucket and drink it, and you know what I mean? And then I was just talking to my daughter earlier about, Rock Band, right? And how I'm going off the rails on a crazy train was, one of the songs you had to master on Rock Band. So yeah, Ozzy was in, like you said, a voice of a generation. Very important musician. Rest in peace to Ozzy Osbourne.
That's the awesome thing about music, right? Because I think that when you're an artist, whether it's, a performing artist, a recording artist, the things you create, the memories that are tied to those things, they're eternal. They live on. It's the same as like listening to a song and being taken back to, where you first heard it or what you associated with in your life. But there was one loss that hit you pretty hard, and did you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm talking a little bit about Hulk Hogan, right? Rest in peace to Hulk Hogan. And this is a polarizing situation, right?
Very
Listen,
polarizing.
the responses have been heartfelt and they have been visceral, right? And it's interesting because I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday and we both kind of grew up watching and we both were like, yo, both of us black. And I know the black community on some levels are indifferent because of a very controversial situation, one very controversial situation that Hulk Hogan was in. And I'll get to that really quickly. But
Okay, cool.
we were talking, and it's like, yo, there's something to be said about, and it depends on the nature of the grievance, right? There is something to be said about leaving things to rest when a person has gone on to rest, right? Like I said to a friend of mine, so just so you know, and I'm gonna sum this up really quick. I'm gonna try to really. So just so you know, some years ago, a private tape was released where Hulk Hogan was heard talking about how upset he was that his daughter was dating a black guy, and he referred to the black guy with the N word.
Like,
And that,
we talking hard R or
yeah,
A?
hard
Hard
R.
R. Wow.
Yep.
That
And that
must have
got
been
out. It was
that
made
must have been
public, and
pretty
he was
heartbreaking.
pretty much canceled. Um,
How did you
and what
feel
I mean
about
by the
that?
say again?
How did you feel about
So
that?
so yeah, that's where I'm going, right? So for me, and this is just really what it is for me, right? For me, I felt hurt. I felt betrayed. I felt like, yo, this was one of my childhood heroes. It's interesting, right? When it's actually one of your childhood heroes who comes out and he says something, to you is egregious and that is hurtful, right? So I had to really think about it. It took me a minute. Like I didn't just overnight come to a certain conclusion. And I did not cancel Hulk Hogan, right? I felt like, yeah, you owe the community apology. Um, it should be some consequences and repercussions. To quote a movie we all know, like there should be some consequences and repercussions, and then we should move on. But here's why. I wasn't able to cancel Hulk Hogan because I found myself in a situation where I could not cancel the moments that I had with my family, like my mother, my sister. We sat around the television having great moments, rooting for, cheering for, and supporting our Hogan, like memories that impacted my life, that actually impacted my childhood. That is like, yo, it's one thing, right? Where, Chris Benoit kills his family and WWE just removes his existence from WWE. But as a human being, on a human level, how do you remove someone that actually had an impact on your formative years? That when you remember great moments with your family, he was a part of those moments. He contributed to those moments. Like, how do you do that? So for me, it was like, okay, on the one hand, fuck you. Like, absolutely fuck you. But on the other hand, you didn't change the way the wind blows in my life by that tape coming out. Like, you didn't change, you didn't hinder me, you didn't hurt me, you didn't stop my progress. You understand what I'm saying? So when he came out and he made his apology and he made his statements, it wasn't for me in that instance, it wasn't necessarily important for me to have to believe you rather than for me to accept that you did something that many people consider egregious and that you wanted to kind of apologize and own up to it. And I was good with that. That doesn't mean I was about to go buy your tickets and watch you wrestle again,
Did
right?
he
It just
apologize?
meant that I wasn't about to walk around holding Hulk Hogan accountable. And you only get this pass based upon the impact you've had on my life. I'm gonna give you that pass. You've made more memorable moments for me. Listen, people drop the N word all the time. I'm not
Yeah, I
saying
was
there's
gonna
an
say
excuse
that,
for
man.
it.
You know,
It don't even
it's
bother me.
I feel like I mean, well, I, I'm not talking about us using the N word, right? Because the N word we use is different. Because I mean, hard R is intended to have a negative impact on you. Like people use it in a negative connotation, right? It's a dehumanizing word. Um, yo, man, I think there's white people that use that shit in the confidence of their own spaces all the time.
All the time.
You know what I mean? It's not new. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure the people that, the listeners, someone you work with, you'd be surprised, you know?
Yo,
Um,
I'm gonna take it a step further. I'm the type of person that if I don't have an investment in you, you can't move me emotionally one way or another. You just don't have that power over me. Like a
okay.
stranger on the street who drops the N word, you only have the power I give you.
So this is my hang up with that, right? And I've wrestled with this. I have a huge problem with anyone doing something intentionally to have an impact on me. If your intent is to try to make me feel the kind of way, if you intended to hurt me, harm me, make me, something bad, then I have a problem with that because I don't intend to do that to anybody. And I know there's this whole idea of not putting your expectations of how you are in society on other people, but yo, man, I like yeah, like I don't like a person that's trying to hurt me, harm me, hurt my feelings, whatever. Like that's a problem for me. So if you use the N word with the intent to try to hurt me, right? Because you think it's gonna make me feel a kind of way. If your intent is to do that to me, I have a problem with you, right? And I will probably respond emotionally because I feel like anybody that's trying to provoke me or push me to be a certain kind of way is someone whom I view as not necessarily a threat, but as someone who doesn't have my best interest in mind. You know what I mean? Someone who's trying to that yeah, I would say a threat. You know what I mean? Not a threat like you might bodily harm me, but like threat like, oh, you want smoke, so I guess it's gonna go up. You know what I mean? Kind of a situation. Um, and like I said, character flaw of mine, but yo, if I had a special needs kid and someone said something about my special needs kid trying to get a rise out of me, they gonna fuck around and find out. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
so I think that, like, I feel you. And I think that, so this is something that I've had to deal with because I've used to have anger issues. I was quick to just punch you in the mouth, right? Very quick, really, very quick to listen. I got Article 15s on I got Article 15 in basic training. I got an Article 15 in AIT. I got an Article permanent duty station. I won a court martial. Like I was always ready to punch you in the mouth.
Ish, did
Like
you
period.
retire?
Say again?
Did you retire?
No, no, I ETS'd.
Okay, okay, okay,
Honorable discharge the whole 9, but yeah,
okay,
absolutely.
okay.
Listen, my military career, I was ready to go. Listen,
Yeah,
when I tell you I got R-15 in basic, I got R-15 in basic training. I got another one AIT. I got several.
that's
And
wild,
my permanent
yo.
duty state, they thought I was off the block. I used to wear civilian belt. Like, listen, it was it was bad. And it was like, yo, I just had this off the block mentality. I was angry at everything. At a very, very at an issue with my temper, I was quick to punch you in the mouth. That is something that I've worked on, that I've curbed. And so for me, right, obviously, if you say something disparaging like that to one of my loved ones, I have a problem with that. I really have a problem with anybody making someone that I care about feel some type of way other than the feelings that they so choose to feel. If you, that's it. But for me personally, right? I've gone a long way and a great lengths not to let my own anger have power over me, right? Like I hated, waking up on the 4th of July in central booking. You know what I'm saying? Because I could have just handled something differently. So for me, it's like, all right, if I don't know you at all, and I came to this conclusion a long time ago, I won't even argue with people that I don't have an investment in. If I take the time to argue with you in anger on any level, it's because I have a real investment in you. It's worth my while, right? If I feel some type of way, then it's worth my while. If I don't know you, if you're a total stranger on the street and you drop an in-bomb, I'm not gonna give you what you want. If I punch you in the mouth and we roll around on the ground, we both going to jail. We both getting put in them handcuffs. We're both going to lose time. You know what I mean? We both gonna be inconvenienced. That's where I'm at with it. Like, yo, and the thing is, if I give you that power, then you got what you wanted. You want to see this black dude tripping out and screaming because you could use one word to exercise so much control over me. All you got to do is drop a word. Yes, it's a hurtful word.
I
Yes,
mean,
there's
like,
history behind this word. Yes, this is going, I'm sorry. And really quick, to speak to what you're saying about intent, right? And this is not an excuse. This is not, this actually isn't an excuse. This is just what it is. Hulk Hogan said these things in the private, he had no idea that this was something that was going to get out. He didn't say it to a person. He didn't, you understand what I'm saying? He said it on a videotape while having sex with another man's wife, talking to the man about his. So this doesn't make it okay.
wait, hold on, wait, wait.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Bro, are you telling me that Hulk Hogan was talking to the husband of a chick that he was railing real time?
Yeah, the guy paid Hulk Hogan to sleep with his wife.
People do that?
Yeah,
Okay. All right.
people get off on that.
Like celebrities? Like that's a thing? Celebrities be getting paid to smash other people's
I
wives?
mean, this was a guy Hulk Hogan knew and had done business with. Was like a friend of his, and the
So
guy got
this
Hulk
sounds
Hogan to sleep with his wife.
sounds like some swinger shit. Like that's what that sounds
That's
like.
what it was, and he
Okay.
recorded it, and in conversation, right, he was just talking about how he was frustrated because his daughter was dating a black dude, and he called, and again, none of this is an excuse. None of this is okay. But I'm always gonna draw the line between, and again, none of this is excuse. None of this is okay. It is there's no excuse for this. There isn't. Like, there's no excuse for you to ever use the N-word. I was willing to accept and what I consider to be unacceptable. So when I define hero in the sense of Hulk Hogan, someone who left an indelible impression on my childhood as it regards to experiences I shared with my family, memories that I can never erase because they were memories that I have enjoying great moments in my life with my family, my mother and my sister. Like, it was something that we shared together. And these are memories that I can never erase. They're irreplaceable. And so again, it comes down to what I'm willing to accept and what I deem unacceptable. Hulk Hogan's actions in that tape, the words that he used, unacceptable.
But
Unacceptable.
are they
Really.
forgivable?
Yes, for me.
Now, here's my question, right? And I know this is a sensitive topic, but Do you think, like, just flatly out, do you think that Hulk Hogan, based on his actions, do you think that Hulk Hogan, based on his actions, is a racist? Is he racist against black people? So, my reason for asking is because to use that term in that context, in those terms, would be to have discriminated against somebody based on the basis of their color. And that is the definition of racism. And so, would this not be what some people deem a indication of how he really feels about black people? And wouldn't, an apology be more of an apology of, "Well, I'm sorry that I got caught," versus, I'm sorry that I used that term in that space because I was angry or I just was out of my mind." You know what I mean? Like, whatever. What are your thoughts on that?
So, and it's only thoughts, right? We can only opine, right? We can only give our thoughts and our opinions, and that when it comes to certain level of visibility, be it celebrity, be it political or otherwise, right? You assume that everyone is putting on a face. And I say this to say that there are tons and tons of stories from, African Americans who came to his defense who, you know, listen, he never turned anyone away for an autograph. He picked up, he hugged every kid. He kissed every baby, black, white, or otherwise. There are black professional wrestlers who absolutely praise him for the impact, the personal impact that he has had on their careers, right? So you have actions and then you have words, right? And what I mean by that is I don't want to take anything away from words, especially depending on what the intention of the words are and how they are used and
Yeah.
the way they are weaponized, right? I don't want to take anything away from that at all, right? Um, but I think by comparison, we all have voiced or expressed within the privacy of our own lives some sort of prejudice, right? Does that make us the thing that we've expressed? I've certainly said some things and felt some type of way about, and I'm going to keep it real, certain cultures and their impact on my culture or on the community as a whole. And I'm not even talking about a specific culture, very broad stroke, right? I've certainly had some thoughts, I've considered some things. However, I am prejudiced. I act in prejudice towards no one. It comes down to, do we legislate thought, right?
Yeah, that's a
Or do we
very
legislate action,
that's a really
right?
good
Like,
point. You know what I mean? Because I
right?
mean,
Does
like,
your do
because here's the thing. I was taught that, people you can't control your thoughts, right? Your thoughts are things that just come into your brain and you can condition your thoughts, right? But what pops into your mind, you can't necessarily control. That's what I was taught by my therapist. Um so that's to say that if you have
I
certain
want to I want to stop you right there. I want to say shout out to therapy and shout out to black men who openly concede that therapy is necessary and important for our culture,
absolutely.
for all cultures, but for our cultures. I want to shout that out too, by the way. Too many black people, too many men in particular, black or otherwise, but I'm speaking about black people. Too many men look down on things like that. And especially the way we grew up and where we came from. Like, come on, man.
Do you subscribe to therapy?
I don't, meaning in that I don't have a therapist and I
Mhm.
don't think that I need a therapist, but if I did, I would. I definitely grew up when I was growing up, I had a counselor. I had some anger issues. When I got out of the
Do
military,
you
I
think it
went
helped?
to as a child, no.
Okay.
As an adult, when I got out of the military and I was in some situations where I think I said this yesterday, like I stopped, wanting to listen. I hate it. It's 4th of July and everyone else is having fun and I'm in a holding center, right? And this is just due to my own anger issues and needing to control them. So I went to anger management and that helped. That helped. It's the reason why we were talking yesterday. And I don't know if we still have it, but we were talking about
Oh,
the
yeah. We've got a lot
the
of it.
usage of the N word and why I don't allow it to trigger me, because my anger issues will cause me to punch you in the mouth. And I'm just not that person anymore.
Yeah.
Meaning you're not gonna, if I don't have any investment in you, you're not gonna control, and that's something that anger management helped me realize, like, yo, if somebody can say something that can trigger you and evoke an emotion that is beyond your control, meaning it puts you in a position where you lose control, I don't want anyone to have that type of power over me. So
Yeah.
yes, I do advocate for, I do subscribe to therapy. That's why I shouted it out, man. I commend it. I think it's very commendable and necessary.
I do wanna, I wanna get back to the Hulk Hogan thing, but before we do that, I just wanna say if you or anyone you know has, benefited from actually, any form of therapy, whether it was, guidance counseling, whether it was, licensed clinical social workers, substance abuse or anything like that. If you care to share, put a comment down below in the comment section and let us know the impact that it's had on you. I think it is still a very problematic stigma that exists within the Black communities, particularly for men. But I personally know a lot of Black men that have benefited from it. So if you have, and you care to
And I
share, I'd
promise I
love
won't
to
make
hear
fun
it.
of y'all. Listen, I'm an asshole.
So, okay, so let's put the let's kind of bundle up this whole Hulk Hogan thing. Um,
So
massively
yeah,
important figure in your life and for the community. Um, forgivable actions
so
that
I,
may
I, I
not
want to
speak
be
to.
clear though.
Okay.
I want to be clear to the people that are listening, right? Because it is polarizing. If it's something that you deem unforgivable, cool. That is absolutely your prerogative. Where I'm at was I consider this. I sat down with it. I thought about it, and at the end of the day, what he said could not take away. It couldn't make me want to not go back and watch Hulk Hogan versus The Rock. I wanted to watch it. It could not make me want to. It didn't make me not want to go back and watch Hulk Hogan slam Andre the Giant at WrestleMania 3. These were great moments that I share with my family. When I watch them, I think of my family. So what I'm gonna say to sum this all up and put it in a nutshell, I did not cancel Hulk Hogan. I forgave Hulk Hogan on the one hand. On the other hand, I wasn't buying the t-shirts, right? I wasn't showing up to contribute, to give my money to support the Hulk Hogan causes. Like I'm not marking for you. I'm not flagging for you. There's no torch that I'm carrying for Hulk Hogan after that moment because you let me down. You disappointed me. So there's two hands, and I can on the one hand appreciate your contributions to my life, and on the other hand, I can say, all right, with those contributions to my life, I also recognize that you did something that disappointed me, and from this moment forward, there will be no Hulk Hogan t-shirts or what you gonna do, brothers, coming from Ish.
Yeah. No, so
But rest in peace, nonetheless.
yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, like, human beings are human beings. And, I subscribe to this really weird witchy theory that we're all just spiritual beings living in a physical existence, right? Um, and I kind of I believe that we're all just trying to figure it out. No one has it figured out more than the other person. We all just have our beliefs and our faith and the things that come up. And we're learning as we go, and we're all experiencing it spiritually through a physical vessel. Um, this topic, and this isn't a topic that we wrote that we planned out, but you bring up an interesting thing. What is the line that comes up that where someone who you stand over or someone you're a huge fan of crosses the line for you, and then you no longer carry that torch? For me, Kanye West, and his probably his last 4 or 5 years, um, really, disappointed me, and it I think it detracted from my values so much that his actions detracted from what I believe my values to be so much that I just could not support, or I actually lost a lot of interest in anything that he was doing, you know what I mean? Still the musical genius that I think he was, still very much, super talented, um, but yeah, it just left such a bad taste in my mouth. I think Kanye West is one. I think a lot of people will probably feel the same way about Diddy, and not necessarily the trial, but just the Cassie stuff alone to me is enough to make me feel the kind of way if I bump a Diddy album, you know what I'm saying? Or if I listen to All About the Benjamins, you know what I mean? Like, it sours it. And I went through a similar thing with R. Kelly. R. Kelly don't get play in my car. R. Kelly don't get play in my house. I know a lot of people that are like still devout R. Kelly fans. For me, that crossed the line for me, and I couldn't support that anymore. Within good faith. To me, it bothered me that I was okay with that. Almost as if my patronage and supportage was a co-signing, so to speak. Would you
Yeah,
say
but
this is
these are
similar?
examples, right? Like the question you're asking is certainly subjective, right? And it's very interesting how people choose to, you know, make a difference when they're going to support the art over the artist, so to speak. And it's always subjective. And what you're describing to me doesn't seem like it comes from it results in a choice, but it seems like it was born in a feeling, right? Like, what do you feel when you listen to R. Kelly? And the impact of how you feel causes you to make a choice. For me, it was very easy to cancel R. Kelly. Could not cancel Michael Jackson by comparison, right? I
Mm.
couldn't do it, right? If Michael Jackson did the things he did, they're egregious. I think they're terrible. And I don't say that with a grain of salt. I say that with the full bag, with the rock pile that you throw it out on the snow in a blizzard. All of that, right? But I couldn't cancel the impact that Michael Jackson had, and many people couldn't, right? Many people did, many people couldn't. Couldn't cancel that impact.
I think
Very
it's
easy for me to cancel R. Kelly.
I don't think that it's a question, sorry, I don't think it's a question of, does it erase a legacy or does it remove or stain the history that you have or the history in a relationship you had with the thing or the emotion. I think it's more so the continued patronage, the continued support and consumption of said art from artists who did XYZ. You know what I mean? Like I think
Well,
I
I
can
mean, I
listen,
continue to support Michael Jackson. I could never hear another R. Kelly song again, and I'm good.
but you weren't an R. Kelly fan.
I mean, I went to the club in the 90s.
Yeah, but I mean, like, for example, like, I mean, like, maybe it's different because 'cause I'm from Chicago, but, like, R. Kelly was a really huge deal for us in the music industry,
Mhm.
specifically from our region, and, when R. Kelly did shit, it was kinda like a moment, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but R. Kelly told us who he was from the jump. He said, "My mind is telling me no, but my body is telling me yes." And who says that about a woman? A grown woman. Who says, "My mind is telling me no"?
I really thought that that was a very relatable phenomenon, like, my mind's telling me no, but my body's telling me yes, and then
Did it tell you
you
no?
can put that
Did
in
your mind
different.
say no to you when your body was telling you yes? Was it like, "Nah, man,
Has that
you're
never
not
happened to you?
attracted to her.
No, 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 no,
You don't
no, no.
know."
The idea of what my mind is telling me no is contextual, right? My mind could be telling me no because I have a girlfriend at home, or my mind could be telling me no because you're my work best friend, or you're my best friend, and I don't want to cross
I
that
don't
line.
see nothing wrong with a little bump and grind, so we know the context,
No,
right?
you
We
know
understand.
the context is about there's some apprehension to this, but what the apprehension is, I don't think is really divulged. I think that's
Yeah, but I
contextual.
don't think that the song alludes to, "I don't see anything wrong with a little bump and grind because I have a wife or because I have a girlfriend." I don't think it
Not
alludes to
I
children either,
I think it's I know, I think it's open for interpretation for why your mind is
and
telling you no, and mine
I'm
didn't.
gonna stand on there was a subconscious mechanism at play. I'm gonna stand on that.
Alright, maybe, but, just an interesting thing. Um, I wanna move forward a little bit, we don't have a lot of time, but I did wanna.
Hold on. I wanted to jump into, I know we got a format, but before we get too far into the show and while people are, probably you're probably in your cars or doing whatever you do, I wanna really I want Matt, I want you to address the comment of the week.
You cut me off, I was getting there. I was totally getting going. It's literally on my list. You know what I mean? Um, speaking of, on the topic of influential artists and their artistry, I was very intrigued and what
Wait, Matt. Wait a minute. Let me just so listen up, people. We are going to continually, as we grow organically and we evolve, we are going to continually try to find ways to engage our audience, to show some sort of thanks for your support, for watching us, for kicking with us, for giving us your time. And this is just one of the ways our comments of the week. We're gonna look out across social media. We're gonna pick a comment. Maybe we pick more. It depends. But we're gonna pick a comment, good, bad, indifferent, or ugly, and we're gonna recognize it. We're gonna respond to it on air. That's what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so there was a, on the topic of there being, really influential artists, that, you're so influenced by that, maybe maybe you have a hard time letting them go over particular issues or it's a point of contention, whatever. Like I said, I was really passionate about Kanye West. Um, my passion goes both ways, right? So when I'm passionately in support of something, or if I'm passionately disappointed, and a comment that I left last week, or that I made last week, particularly about the Clipses album, um, caught a lot of flack. And in a new segment that we're actually going to introduce, we're going to be highlighting this comment and talking about it a little bit. Um, Particularly, someone asked, well, my comment was, hey, what that this album, what is it? Let God Sort 'Em Out is not a 10 for 10 out of 10 album, right? It's not a perfect album across the board. It's a great album. It's a good album, really good album, right? Not what I would consider to be a perfect album by far. And I listed out my reasons for that last week, and I won't go back into that. But one of the commenters on our TikTok account said, "I really wonder what's the last 10 out of 10 album that these two have heard, or the last 10 out of 10 album they heard in recent times from an artist or whatever." So I thought it'd be a good idea. Hold on, trash. The garbage truck is going away. Okay, I think it went away. So I thought it'd be a great idea for Ish and I to kind of come to the pod with some albums that we consider to be 10 out of 10 albums, so you can kind of get the metric of by which we consider a perfect album, what it to look like. Ish, did you want to go first?
So I'm gonna decline. I think the ball is in your court on this. I think you're the one who's been taken to task. So I'm sitting here with that commenter. I'm sitting right next to him with my popcorn, like, yo,
Okay.
I'd like to hear Matt's offering.
All right. Let's fucking go for it then. All right. Whew. So I'll tell you, initially hearing this comment, it was really hard for me to think of like the last hip hop 10 out of 10 album that I heard, because of the time frame, right? There's a lot of them that I can name off, but something that was relevant and recent, it was pretty hard. Um, I will tell you that I have not heard a Kendrick Lamar 10 out of 10 for me, not a 10 out of 10 since Good Kid, Mad City, right?
They're
Right?
coming.
Yeah, they can come. They can come.
They're coming.
Pause, pause. Yeah, I nothing that Kendrick Lamar has released for me since Good Kid, Mad City has been a 10 out of 10. That's is what it is. Drake has not ever released a 10 out of 10 album ever. I think
They
maybe
are coming.
I think that I think that So Far Gone from Drake would have been the closest to a 10 out of 10 that he would have got. Take Care, it was a great
Listen,
album.
people, y'all love how before he gives you a 10 out of 10 album, he tells you he tells
This is
you what's
context.
not
This is
10
context.
out of 10
This is
album.
context. It's all context. All right. Okay. So, um, the most recent 10 out of 10 album that I've heard, out of the hip hop genre, was probably Astroworld. That album to me, and it's pretty old. I think Astroworld is probably almost 10 years old, if like somewhere around that. Um, and it was amazing. It's a great album. I want to say, uh, you know, I would imagine that Utopia could probably get close to that, but when I listen to Utopia, I don't have the same like, "God damn, this is a great album." You know what I mean? Like, type
Give
of
the artist
feels.
as well.
Travis Scott. Travis Scott. Travis Scott's Astroworld. He did Astroworld and Utopia. Um, I will say that a more recent one, and I stand on this 100%, and I don't care what anybody says, Killer Mike's Michael is a 10 out of 10 album, and that is relatively recent. and that album deserved every bit of applause and accolades that it got. It's non-debatable, non-negotiable. You can't tell me nothing, and you're not finna sit here and tell me that this Clips album is remotely close to what Michael was. It ain't. So I wouldn't even I don't burn me at the stake. I don't care. I'm telling you, this album, this Clips album is not 10 for 10. You know, and I
What
think
was
that
Tyler the Creator?
Tyler, I said Tyler the Creator was a 10 out of 10. I wasn't being serious. It's a really good album. I actually haven't waited because I'm just not a Tyler fan, and I don't have enough credence to be like whether or not it's a good fun album to me. I'd probably give it somewhere like a 7, 8. You know what I mean? It's not like this masterful piece of work. It's not My Twisted Dark Fantasy. It's not Astro World. It's not Michael. It's not, you know what I mean? Like these like really perfect albums front and back that were like ridiculous. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah, because this was a polarizing topic. Someone said we should never talk about hip hop again.
oh yeah, I don't give
Like,
a fuck what
yo,
they
this
say.
I
Oh,
loved it.
me,
Listen, bring it
me
on.
that.
It was very
Yo,
polarizing.
9 times out of 10, I'm just happy that someone's even like caring enough to feel some way to share their opinion, right? Because that's all we're doing. We care enough to share our opinion. Someone else has cared enough to respond, and I'm
And it's
happy.
dope.
I'm happy for that. Yeah, that's what this is all about, right? You're not changing my mind though. That second half of the album, Pharrell just wasn't Pharrelling. You know what I mean? Songwriting wasn't songwriting. I will. It's not trying to hear it. You know what
So
I mean?
Pharrell was not Pharrelling.
I
That's
said
what we doing. We didn't
Pharrell,
turn Pharrell
Pharrell,
into a verb.
Pharrell was not Pharrelling. You know what I'm saying? It just wasn't happening. You know what I mean? I've heard masterful production from
I
Pharrell.
cannot get jiggy with this.
No, who this shit? You know what I mean? Somebody somewhere saying like, "Yo, it's 5 die lines." That's why I'm starting ranking these these albums. How many die lines was it? The die line, die line, die line, die line, die line. But no, yeah, no. So yeah, Michael, was 10 out of 10 for me. Astro World was a 10 out of 10 for me. Um, uh, this last album from Kendrick, what was it? Uh, what is the name of Kendrick's last album? Uh, the GNX, something like that. It's like a based off a car. Not a 10 out of 10 album. Don't care. Don't care. You know what I mean? J. Cole hasn't had a 10 out of 10 album for me since um Forest Hills Drive, right? Um, and that was so a 10 for 10. I don't know if it aged well, but I would say it was a 10 for 10. Um, but I have heard 10 out of 10 albums in other genres. And don't get this wrong, I don't listen to just 10 out of 10 albums. You know, I might love an album that's a 4 or
Well, that was my
5.
question. Does an album have to be a 10 of 10 album to be good?
No.
I know the context was that you were countering the popular sentiment that this Clips album was a 10 of 10 and you didn't agree,
Absolutely.
which is the
Absolutely.
context. But
Which I am not
does
alone
it
in
have
that
to be
take.
good? Does,
I'm not alone in no, not at all, not at all. But I stand on that if I had every Clips album, that I'm probably gonna listen to Lord Willin' before all of them. And not just because of nostalgia, because I just think it was better. It was more raw, it was more visceral. I felt that like that it wasn't as finesse. It didn't have as much finesse as this album. I think they have definitely both Malice and Pusha have grown in their ability to put words together and to write. But yo, man, I just think
so
people
from
are
what I've gathered, a lot of people are really happy that Malice is back and at the level that he returned at as well. I think that's something that might maybe obfuscate people's opinion a little bit that, Malice is actually back and performing at like he never left.
Yeah, I think that's also an inflated comment, right? I think
Mm.
Malice is really good at double entendres. I think he's really good at punchlines. Um, but I don't think that he's as ill, if I could use that word. He's not as ill as Pusha T, because Pusha T is visceral. It's
Right.
his wordplay and punchlines. You feel them, right? Um, I don't know. I feel like Malice is a little basic in comparison, especially because of the lack of wordplay. But I understand why people like Malice. He's very easily digestible, very relatable, and he's a very poignant writer, and he can get very deep in depth with substance. But as far as like wordsmithing, I defer. I'm a Pusha T fan, and to be honest with you, if I'm going to be completely honest, I felt like they were peaking during the re-up era. I don't know if you know about the re-up gang era of the Clips, but there was a point where they were in like label turmoil and all this other jazz, and they teamed up with two other people, Ab Liva and God, I can't remember that other guy's name. But somebody else, Ab Liva and yeah, I don't remember them. But they I didn't care for them anyway because it was really always Pusha T. Like between the Re-Up Gang era and We Got It for Cheap 2 and 3, those 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 records that came out during that time, Pusha T was he peaked there for me, right? I felt like he got more easy to digest after that because he started to write a little more simpler and then sprinkle in a little bit of that wordplay. But he was a fucking monster during the re-up era. Like monster wordplay out of this world, man. I mean, like, oh my God. It was just the things that he would say would just blow my mind, man. Like, and
Well,
that's
well, well, while we're on this subject, though, because I'm curious to know, while we're on this subject, right? I've been following some stuff, and I want to take you back to Jim Jones really quickly, right? And
oh,
his
okay.
rant about Pusha T not being a top 50 rapper of all time. And so, what do you think about that?
That's ridiculous. Pusha T is
Jim
absolutely a
Jones is on a Disparity World Tour, by the way.
yo. I think he just wants attention, bro. Like,
Do you think Pusha T is top 50?
I think Pusha T is probably top 20, if not higher. I'm just off the top 20. I could probably put Pusha T in my top 10. We could name 10 right now.
All time?
10. Well, I'm talking about when I talk about rap. All right, so listen. This is where it's gonna
Because I'm
get.
feeling some type of way
So
right now.
listen. All
I
right,
want to write a comment. I want
hold
I
on.
want to create a fake
I
identity
do not
and go on to TikTok and be like, what the hell is this nigga talking about?
look. I do not subscribe to most people's like way of gauging rap. Right? I'm not basing it on how I personally felt about some shit. I'm not basing it on what it meant to me for them to say it that way or how they said it or the impact that my friends are talking about. I don't give a fuck about none of that shit. All right. I am, I specifically created what is called the 36 dart chart, right? The 36 scale dart chart. And it's called the tonus scale. And it's based on this idea that every verse can be broken down to these elements, and there are 12 elements, and you can get up to 3 points per element to well, it's not up to, yeah, up to 3 points. Some of them are only maxed at two, but some of them are maxed at three. You can get 3 points, and like a person that scores three in those categories all the way across the board, you get it's a grading scale to grade that verse, and it's a tried and true method of using this, and I am willing to put it to the test anywhere. So when
Has
we
it been
talk about
peer
rappers,
reviewed?
hold on. When we talk about rappers, I have mathematical, scientific, data-driven opinions that I can share when it comes to these things. So when I start saying, "Hey, top 10," yo, I've done the math. I know monsters that came out. You know what I mean? Like, and when you say it hasn't been peer reviewed, there are people that have challenged me, and I've taken the verses that they've said, "Hey, if you feel that way, do that verse, do this verse." And so I'll scale it out and I do that verse, and it'll come
This
out
nigga
and
hit y'all
score,
with the 36 chambers of death.
bruh.
Because we are
I'm
nerds. Like,
telling
yo.
you, I am telling
Hit you
you,
with the Gordon
it's
Liu
so true,
evaluation of,
bro. I'll bring, man. Don't have me bring it. I swear to God, boy, don't
bruh,
listen.
bruh.
You see how
My
passionate I am
man
about this,
said
right?
scientific data
Data
driven
driven analysis,
opinions.
bro.
He didn't say data driven fact. He said scientific data driven opinions. Like,
Yeah,
yo.
yeah, because it's backed by factual evidence.
Mm,
And the thing is, let's be honest, it's all subjective at the end of the day. We are talking about something
yes.
that is absolutely subjective. But in its subjectiveness, I have found a way to be objective and to uh across the board scale and grade a rap verse. And oh man, don't let me find that shit, bro. Don't let me
Ah, shit.
find it. Don't boy, if I find it, it's a wrap. Oh, you know what? It's in the Commonwealth podcast, isn't it?
No pun intended, y'all.
Let's see. 10. Boy, don't let me find that shit.
No pun intended. Your top 20, huh?
I could give you my top 10. I could probably give you my top 10 off the top of my head.
Yeah, but what are the metrics, right? We don't
That's why I'm
understand the
looking for the
36
dart
chambers
chart.
of, chambers of
That's why I'm
depth
looking
chart.
for. So these are the dart. This is what it is. All right. So, all right. It's called the 36-point Tona scale, or AKA the dart chart, right? Because Wu-Tang used to be like, yo, you gotta keep your dart sharp, right? So that's what we're doing here. We're scaling that. All right. So the first category is rhyming, right? And I went so far as to put a definition for each of these so that people know when I said, hey, this is what we're talking about, that there's a standard that is set, right? This is what the standard of that definition is. You know what I'm saying? Let me see if I can find it. Uh, uh, let's see. Sheet 3? Sheet 1? All right, cool. So the first category is rhyming, and that is the ability to rhyme words or syllables sequentially or consecutively during a performance, right? So that, I mean, like rhyming, like Eminem rhymes a million words in his verses, right? Like in a bar, he'll have like 4 rhyming. It's ridiculous, right? So that's rhyming ability. All right. The next one is punch. Oh, that's worth. I'm sorry. I said 3 points earlier. There are some things that are weighted more and are weighed to 4 points. So the max you can actually get is 4 points. So the next category is punchlines. And punchlines are clever and impactful endings to rhymed measures that evoke physical, emotional, chemical, or mental reactions beyond the norm, right? So you listen to music, and a punchline is something that makes you go, "Oh shit," or raise an eyebrow, or you know what I mean, like that kind of shit, right? When Kanye West was talking about how Hove took the Gucci bucket hat and put it on his face, like, woo, like that's what we talking about right there. All right.
So I wanna offer a challenge just to that really quick,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Just to that, right? So
Mhm.
what about punchlines that or metaphorical punchlines that are so deep and so layered that some people don't recognize them? Not until the third or fourth listening to, or they need another knowledge. They need knowledge of another thing in order to really understand that metaphorical punchline.
I would say,
Sometimes they're layered, right? Sometimes
well,
a punchline has three. Go
so
on.
how effective is a joke if only 5 people got the joke?
Well, that's subjective, right?
Is it?
Seinfeld.
Oh,
Seinfeld is funny to a lot of
I'll give
people.
you a perfect example. How much did you laugh during Fantastic Four?
Not once.
Right. Those jokes were ineffective, right? They were ineffective. I don't,
Ah,
it could be,
that's subjective to your brand of comedy,
I
right? Not
mean,
everybody finds Seinfeld
I
funny, but
think
he's
I
funny.
think it's a general conception now that the real critiques are coming out is that it was dry and it fell flat. I'm not talking about the
Yeah,
difference between
we're
I'm
gonna
not
get there.
talking about the difference between dark humor and dark comedy and dry humor. I'm not talking about that. We're talking about how effective it was, right? Um
Mhm.
and if a punchline is meant to have an impact and cause we're talking about how well it's measured in evoking a physical, emotional, chemical, or mental reaction, right? And if it doesn't do that, right, because it's so layered, is it an effective punchline? You know what I mean?
But I feel like that's always gonna be subjected to the describer. First of all, I think this is dope that you took the time. I really think
Oh,
it's
we're
dope,
not done.
and I
And
think
I'm gonna get through this now
yeah,
because
yeah.
I'm gonna blow through this real quick. Pause. Versatility, the ability that's 4 points. Ability to flow or rhyme multiple patterns within a verse and add to or sustain the momentum. So when you flip how you're rapping, you change your cadence, your rhythm, all that, right? That's your versatility. Wordplay is worth 4 points because it's my scale and I do what I wanted to do. Rhyming outside of the ABCB and ABAB patterns, right? So rhyming within bars and measures, resulting in intricate word sequencing that showcases a vocabulary. That's wordplay. And the top people that come to my mind immediately: Lupe Fiasco, Pusha T. They are some of the best. Word schemes, the length of time that a resulting rhyming word is rhymed sequentially. So in I think it was in Ace Trumpets, right? Pusha T starts the verse with yellow diamonds look like PP, right? And he rhymes that EE through the entire 16 bars. That is amazing word scheme right there, right? So you would get max points for that, which is worth 3 points. Substance. This is all what I look for in a single verse. We're only on like the sixth one. Substance is worth 3 points. A subjective measurement of content within a performance that is relative beyond entertainment. Something that is just not for entertainment. It makes you think, right? Entertainment, which is the opposite of substance, right? A subjective measurement of the level of which a performance holds one's attention, holding a level of replay value that is often results in vocal reactions or mimicking of the performance. Those are those are the things that you say that you was like, put your rollers in the sky, wave them side to side. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like that's what entertainment is. Okay. Takeoff is an evaluation of how a verse begins, right? Because some people just don't start the verse off hard. And then there's a landing. The landing, both of these are worth 2 points a piece, by the way. And that's an evaluation of the end, right? So when you have somebody that's rapping and they trip over, when they trip over the end of it, and the end goes bars outside of the bars of the cadence and into the chorus or the bridge, because they haven't gotten to the word that they were trying to rhyme, they tripped over their landing. They did not stick the landing. And so they would be penalized for that. It's either 1 or 2 points. Either you stick the landing or you don't. Innovation. And Pusha T is known in the past to have not stuck landings. And his simpler form of flowing now, he definitely does. Innovation, the transformative elements within a verse that transcend or inspire methods of rapping across multiple artists and genres. So like the Migos and their triplet flow, that's an innovation, right? The hashtag flow or the stop and pause flow or whatever you want to call it, that Big Sean coined and then everyone started biting. Those are innovations. Presence. Presence is worth 4 points, because if you ain't there, it don't matter what you saying, right? So the intangible ability to impact the song, resulting in the verse upstaging other featured performers or the song itself. So then you got a verse that's actually bigger than the whole song itself, right? That's presence. Cadence is the ability to rhyme or swing during a performance, right? And I have a note here that says each of the criteria is scored out of its respective maximum points, and the total points are then summed and calculated to the overall score, and then compared to a 36 max score scale. The scale allows for a detailed, nuanced evaluation of rap verses, taking into account various elements of performances, creativity, and impact. Yo, when I say this rap shit is for real for me, fuck all y'all that is just like some casual ass fans, stands, whatever. I'm talking about I have literally come up with a way to grade verses, and I've put it to the test. I've put it to the test. So for example, Jay-Z, his God did verse, the verse that everybody was like swooning over when this was done, right? I'll show you. That score right there, that's his score. You see that? Jay-Z
You
God
gave it a
did.
B.
Got a B. 86% when I use that scale. Not versus every other verse he's done. Like literally that scale, right? We can go to a song that's one of my favorites. It's On, the song that I was fucking with you with the other day, right? Beanie Siegel's verse. His verse 1 for It's On. This is the score for it. Can you see that?
Yeah, we see it.
Yep. 81% gotta be, okay? Jay-Z's, oh, that's Murs. Somebody had me do Murs one day. It's like, oh, what about Murs? And so we did Bass for Your Trunk, and he got a D. And I said, so keep that shit to yourself. All that underground bullshit to yourself.
So I gotta commend you.
Hold
I
on,
gotta commend
hold on.
and I think
I gotta stick this one. Let me just get this last one off. All right, Jay-Z's It's On verse. Verse 2. That's an A. He didn't even get a perfect score. He got a 94%. Okay? There was something about that verse that just wasn't maxed out. You know what I mean? So when I say that the Clips don't have a 10 for 10 album, like I know what I'm talking about. The Fader knows that I know what I'm talking about. I don't know what you casual ass niggas think, but I'm telling you, I don't give a fuck what y'all interpretation of some shit is. I'm actually using like metrics to figure my shit out. Like I can listen to it subjectively. This ain't just my opinion. It's not a perfect album.
so y'all hear Mad Attack. That's his response. He's like, yo, hate if you want, casual if you want. This is what it is. I'm standing at the gate. I got the pitchfork. You going to heaven or hell on my metrics. The 36 chambers of death, the 36 chambers of darkness. Listen, I really feel that, dude. I think it's really dope. I really think it's dope. I think it's dope that you just trying to make a comprehensive list. I think it's something that you should share and post somewhere because I think people can use it as a metric. I think it is flawed, but I think the only flaw is in that it is subjective and it doesn't leave room. These are strict standards that don't leave room for intangibles. And that's it. That's the only thing that I would say is that it just doesn't leave room for intangible elements that you just can't really quantify. You know what I mean? Like for instance, um, there are a lot of West Coast rappers that may not pass any of those tests, right? Many of those tests they might fail just because when you talk about hip hop, it's so nuanced, right? You get different styles. Kendrick Lamar is probably the most lyrical West Coast rapper. That I
Yeah,
mean, there's
but
some
he's
more.
he's known to not have very great punchlines though. Like
And
you,
before him,
you know what I mean?
probably lyrically, for as someone from New
The
York, right?
Game.
Ras Kaz, The Game. I'm going all the way back to like Ras Kaz though.
Yeah.
The DOC. You know what I mean? Like they're not known. They're just not known for that type of
Ice Cube is not known for using wordplay or flipping his
right,
flows, but that's why Ice Cube don't get A's on his verses. That don't mean he ain't legendary. That don't mean he ain't a god.
right,
You know what I'm saying?
right. But
But
it
it
it,
just
it
mean,
speaks to
yo,
the
on
it
this
speaks to this
scale,
is Matt's
that
metrics.
verse, that well, it's not just Matt's metrics, right? Because this is a scale that anybody can use. You know what I mean? Like, yo, you can, I will make this shareable. I will challenge anybody out there. Yo, if you feel a kind of way, give me a verse to grade. Give me a verse to grade, and I
Yeah, but
bet you
it's
it aligns.
but it comes with the caveat, and this is what I'm saying, and this isn't a knock on you because I think it's dope and you should make it shareable. The caveat, Matt, is we have to concede that your metrics are correct, that they are the bar in order to, you know what I mean? Like that. That's what it. And
That is because
and
that's because there are no other metrics. Your personal opinion is not metrics.
yeah,
How
but
well something,
but the metrics that you made are based on they're
but
subjective to your
this
personal
is
opinion.
no, this is literally the things that would make these are the things that a verse is weighed on, right?
I'm gonna quote you.
Maybe
Scientific fact and
based on
data
opinion.
based upon opinion.
But
I'm just gonna quote you.
but what I would say is that if you were to take this scale and you were to grade
Mhm.
something, you would still be grading something with your opinion. It just gives you a standard to work with, is what it is,
Well,
as opposed
I'm
to
gonna
just
take it a
saying some
step
shit.
further. I'm gonna co-sign it even further. That I think it's a fair scale, and based upon another quote, I'm gonna quote you because no one else has made one. So I think it is a fair scale to measure. I think absolutely. If you wanna take a lyric and you wanna grade it, if you wanna take a verse and you wanna grade it, I think the scale is dope. I think it is something that I would use. And then because I start off in black and white, right? I
Mhm.
always start off black and white and then I add color. You understand what I'm saying? But when
Yeah,
I
yeah, no, I get it.
evaluate something, I evaluate it in black and white first.
Yeah.
And then I add the intangibles and I start to add the color. So I absolutely think that your scale is something that is necessary. Like I really think it's necessary. Do I think it is the final? Like this is it? I think that everything can be improved
Oh
upon.
yeah,
I
for
think that
sure. This is the first iteration of something that I think that, I'm like Tupac, right? I
I
might
think you
not be
should
the
add
person
a
that has the answers, but I may spark the mind of the person that does come with it. You know what I mean?
you might have to bump it to like 37 or to 40. And what I mean by that is I think there's room to add a category for intangibles. Those things that you can't quantify, right? Those things that you can't
Yeah, but then
touch.
how do you justify it? You know what I mean?
Matt,
If you
you
know what I'm
use
saying? Like it,
scientific data and fact based
so I stand
based
by
upon
that. Yo,
opinion.
send me a verse and I'll do it. And I'll post this stuff for people to use. No one's gonna use it. But I think to me, I feel like anybody can take this scale and do it. Like you're not gonna tell me that rhyming is not more important than entertainment. Like if it's a verse, your rhyming is more important than your entertainment. But it's not so much more important that entertainment is not important. You know what I'm saying? Like you're not gonna tell me that cadence is a big deal in it. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna tell me that the takeoff and landing aren't factors that should be considered. You know what I mean? You're not gonna
So
tell me that.
shout out to Matt for drawing a square in the stand in the sand and then firmly standing on that square. Like shout out to Matt, what you're doing is dope. And I wanna quickly, just a segue real quick. there is a comment that I want to address. I'm not going to be so involved as Matt. So somebody said in reference to Matt's love of Power Rangers and me saying that I was aged out. Um, I said I was aged out of Power Rangers, and I'm glad I was aged out of Power Rangers because, like, whack, right? So somebody said, "Well, how do you be aged out of?" Yes, I'm giving you a voice. This is the voice that I hear when you write it. How do you get aged out of Power Rangers? I have two answers. One, I'm 50 today, right? So when your generation were watching Power Rangers, answer number one, I was outside. Answer number two, I was in a foxhole. Those are my answers. Not everything is for everybody. I was outside when y'all were watching your little pink pantyhosed. Ricochet Reed, whatever her name. I was
My guy.
outside.
My guy. My guy.
I was outside.
The contradiction in
And
this
then
statement,
I was in a foxhole.
the contradiction in the statement lies in that you have an issue with helmet-wearing spandex heroes in multicolored costumes, but
I
let a
don't. I like
motherfucker
superheroes.
let a motherfucker in okay, sure, when they're depicted in shiny spandex suits, right? But let a motherfucker wear some Speedos and have a fucking 2x4 on their shoulder or a fucking snake a python that they walk around with, and you are all game for it. So
But
when
that's a
you
reach.
nah,
That's
it's
a
not a
reach.
reach.
It
That
absolutely is a reach.
that is a
It's a
reach.
reach calling it a
It's a reach.
contradiction. You're reaching to make the juxtaposition when you call it a contradiction. We're talking about being aged out of Power Rangers versus fandom, right? I was aged out at the time for me to commit and
Oh,
contribute to the
okay,
fandom.
okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
You were aged out before you can get indoctrinated into it, is what you're saying.
Right. That's what I'm
Okay.
saying.
Okay, I see what
You
you're
see what I'm
saying.
saying? Like
Not
at
that
the
you
time
have
Power
grown
Rangers
out of
became a
it.
thing. It's
Okay,
the reason
okay,
why I was
okay.
aged out of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, even though I
Okay.
recognize it as something to be dope.
So the
When it
reality of
was
the
a thing,
situation
I was
is that you so
outside.
old that when we was inside watching it, you was outside. But you was outside like
But to answer
making
your
a living for
question,
yourself.
I was outside. That's all I'm saying. I was no longer on the porch. I was outside. But so to answer that question, that is how someone can be aged out, right? It's like if you drop a brand new cartoon today that's for, the 8 to 14 or 15-year-old demographics, it's not for me. I'm going to get it from my nieces or my nephews or from the kids who are watching it, but I'm not going to be tuning in. I didn't tune in to Avatar: The Last Airbender. People told me to. I tried, and when I put it on my TV, it didn't even take up the whole TV screen. Listen, I was aged out of X-Men, and I'm an
Whoa.
X-Men fan.
Whoa,
Yeah,
wait.
I was in Germany when people were watching X-Men. I was in camouflage. So when people tell you, "Hey, you got to really go back and you should watch it. It was great." And I put it on my TV and it didn't even take up the whole TV screen. I'm good. Like hard pass on. I'll pass. Like Wolverine sounds like it, you're not stop it. Yo, stop it.
Go
I was aged out.
where I wanna go.
Yeah, I wasn't. I was aged out of that. That's all. That's what it means. It means
This
that it
one's
wasn't
for
my
you,
demographic.
Marv.
Very simple.
That's
Very
fair.
simple.
That's fair. Okay, cool. So, um, let's keep it moving, right? Talking about spandex, superheroes, and fandoms. We are both big fans of the MCU and the products that have come out. Fantastic Four, or should I say, Fantastic Snore.
I like Fantastic First.
It's like a fantastic reach.
Yo, and that's absolute. That's apropos in
Yeah.
regards to Mr. Reed Richards fantastically reaching with
Yo,
nothing to cling to.
I've got to tell you, and this is just be fully transparent. I won't go into details, but Ish and I had like a coming to Jesus over this movie. We had to like come to the altar and like have a talk. Like, hey man, is there something wrong with us? Because
Yo,
the
really?
initial reactions to this movie, everyone loved it except for me and Ish. And there was one immediate thing that I saw in common between me and Ish. And it immediately called into question as to whether or not that played a factor in whether or not we could relate. And it might have had something to do with the last podcast and Ish coining the phrase. What was the phrase, Ish?
Which one?
Oh man, you fucked the timing of that all up.
Which one?
the
There's a lot of phrases we coin.
the one, the
Woke,
one. No, no, you
white,
didn't. That too white,
too white,
too white.
too white. The
We were like,
opposite of
yo,
the current pejorative term for woke, the pejorative meaning of woke.
right.
White.
And I asked myself, I'm like, whoa, you know, did this movie not connect with me because it was too white? And too white in the terms that Ish is using it as in the opposite of woke, right? And then I asked myself, I'm like, nah, I really didn't give a fuck about that. You know what I mean? It's not because Johnny Storm wasn't black that I cared, right? That none of that shit mattered to me. I just feel like the movie had big scaling issues, and I was really hyped up for something that was supposed to be so much more than that. Especially, I'm gonna tell you, they're gonna go down to 2 movies a year, MCU. You're gonna you're gonna go down to 2 movies a year. You better step it the fuck up because this is not the way to do it, right? That movie was not a blockbuster movie of the summer kind of like experience. Not at all. Not at all.
So I didn't get the feeling when I left the movie that it was too white. I didn't even get that feeling at all. That wasn't, and maybe there is a subconscious energy because I talked to some people who felt like, yo, did it bother me? Not me specifically, them. And I talked to several people, and it was, was it because it was too cookie cutter? Is there this subconscious feeling impacting their ability to enjoy the movie in the way that they thought they should have? First of all, and to be clear, from a movie standpoint, just for a straight movie standpoint, this is not a terrible film. It's just not a terrible film. For me personally, when I was in the theater, I certainly was disinterested. There was something that didn't allow me to commit in the way that's necessary when you go to watch a film. I just couldn't commit in that way. When I say I was disinterested, I'm in my phone. I dozed off a couple times. Halfway through, I wanted to leave. It was very flat, long periods of exposition that just were disinteresting. It didn't engage me. And I remember thinking to myself, is this the type of movie that a 10-year-old kid would enjoy? Um, Sitting through that, if I were 10, I wouldn't enjoy it. Periods of exposition, scientific conversations that I'm not going to understand, not enough action to keep me engaged. You know, every once in a while as a kid, if you throw the thing on the screen, I'm probably going to think it's cool. But after a while, like the yawn fest begins.
I feel
And my
like
yawn stretches long as Reed Richards' arm stretch. Wasn't the Invisible Woman supposed to at some point? Could we see her invisible?
she was invisible at one point in the movie.
We have to really think about it though, right? Maybe she was
Yeah.
in every scene. Maybe she was in every scene. Maybe that's the I see dead people twist, right? Where she was actually in every scene.
I feel
And they're
like
gonna give us a director's cut.
I feel like I don't have those specific gripes, but I share those sentiments, right? Um I had problems with connecting with the movie as well. I didn't feel like the jokes were landing. That was the first thing that became glaringly obvious to me that the jokes were
I didn't even know there
happening.
were jokes.
The jokes were happening and no one in the theater was laughing. No one laughed at them. Like, and then there was a couple where I gave like you when a joke isn't really that funny, but you generously give it a chuckle. My chuckle was the only thing I heard. Like no one else
Yeah,
like
generally when
chuckled.
I say I chuckled, it's sarcastic.
Well, I'm
Literally
not.
when I
No, I literally chuckled. You know what I mean? Like it's like, and I'm like, yo, no one else is chuckling. No one else is laughing at all at these jokes. I took
I know
my
they
son.
try too hard for the it's clobbering time thing. They really try too hard to make that thing to get that over.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I think that it fell flat, right? When it happened, it was flat. I didn't get the goosebumps that I should have got from it. But there's a lot of moments in that movie where I should have gotten goosebumps and I didn't get it. There were a lot of moments in that movie where I should have felt a kind of way, and I didn't feel that kind of way for some reason. Like I didn't feel like the chemistry between Pedro Pascal and Vanessa Kirby. I didn't feel like they were a couple. I didn't feel like it was a real like Pedro Pascal is just very flat. He ain't as Poe as potent as an actor as people might make him out to be. Like, he was not very good as Mr. Fantastic. He was very basic. He was very mid. Like, there was nothing spectacular about him. I don't know why he was cast. And then, if I could have casted someone else who would have been more passionate and just make me feel like, oh, this is really a scientist. Oh, this is really a
I mean, he's
know-it-all.
developing a level of cachet in the nerd community for many of the roles that
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
played.
sure. Yeah, the ones that don't show his face, right? Him being Mando is dope because he's not him
He's
on
dope in
screen.
Game of Thrones too,
You
though,
know what I
as
mean?
Oberyn Martell.
He was, yeah, okay, yeah, but that should have been it. You know what I mean? Like, he should have lost the mustache, and he should have
You didn't like him in
committed to this
Narcos?
role. I didn't see him I haven't seen Narcos, but I feel like Pedro Pascal
Oh,
did not
none
convince
of your
me. Even when he was
and we have
at his end, and
the
he was like,
power.
the line that was delivered that should have dropped me to my gut, and I felt a pit in my stomach, was when they were like, "Yo, are we?" I don't know. I can't remember what they said. Are we gonna be okay? Are we safe? Are we and he turns around, and for the first time in the movie he says, "I don't know." That line was not delivered with the oomph that I should have been like, damn, for the first time, Reed actually doesn't know some shit, right? Like, it didn't
Mm.
feel like that,
Right,
right?
right.
Like Johnny was trying to convince me that he was the guy who was always being looked over and not as valued, that he was not, he didn't have anything valuable to contribute. And I didn't feel that. I didn't feel that at all.
Mhm.
I didn't feel like, oh, poor
What did you
Johnny.
like?
I loved Galactus. I love Galactus. He wasn't as big as I wanted him to be, but I'm like, yo, this is Galactus. This is good Galactus. I like the way they, played the whole like getting charged up and devouring planets from pipes in your back, like pause, like Apocalypse. I was with that. I was like, all right, cool, I get it. Yeah. The machine that kind of goes through and eats up the planet and converts that into like an energy source, blah blah. Yep. All right, cool, got it. I loved Julia Garner. Is it Julia Garner? Is it Julie Garner?
I believe so. I know Shia
Yeah.
LaBeouf was dope.
Shia
I could have
LaBeouf
done
was
give me 10 minutes more of Shia LaBeouf. That
bro,
Silver Surfer was
bro.
fire.
But the movie itself was so fucking predictable. So predictable. I saw it a mile away. I'm like, oh yeah, Johnny's going for the big sacrifice. Nah, Shia LaBeouf is gonna come and she's gonna save the day. Surfer's gonna not allow this to happen. Because at first I was excited. I'm like, oh wait, y'all gonna kill off Johnny? Like right now? I'm like, I know Johnny died in the comics, but like really, y'all go in there
But
right
you
now?
saw her coming a mile away, right?
I saw it before Johnny even went for the big sacrifice. When she
Mhm.
left, I said, "Oh, she'll be back to save the day. This is a Captain Marvel moment. She's gonna come back and she's gonna be the domino that tips the scale in favor of the Fantastic Four."
Mhm.
Right?
So
Hold on. Let me just tell other things that I
yeah,
liked. I did not like Kirby. That's his name. Herbie. I didn't
Herbie.
like Herbie. I didn't like Herbie. I felt like it was a missed opportunity. I think we talked about that. I shared that
Yep.
sentiment. I think Vanessa Kirby did a good job as Sue Storm. I think that she shined more at the end of the movie. Um, but I think a lot of the emotes that she gave, a lot of the like her excitement about being pregnant, spoilers, whatever. The excitement for, them bringing the child, her protectiveness as a mother, over the child. I felt like all of that was convincing. Um, I felt like the entire mob that was going to mob the fucking Baxter building being quelled by her speech was a bit underwhelming. I'm like, hey, the world hated you, and now the world is like, yes, we're on your side. Like, I didn't feel like it was convincing enough to really sell me off on that. Um, I didn't feel like the thing landed with his like, oh, I'm an ugly monster now and I can't connect with people. And, I didn't feel like that was there. So there's moments where Ben is looking at himself and, on TV as his old self. And then he has his reaction to when the TV turns off and there's his reflection there. I didn't feel like I was like, whatever. I felt like the thing beard wasn't good, but visually as a movie, it felt like a solid movie. It just didn't connect. And I'm willing to go see it again because I felt like, yo, this movie could have been really good if I would have emotionally been dragged into it, and those moments had mattered to me, right? Um, but it didn't, and I don't know why it didn't connect, and I can only fault the director for that, the director and the
So
editors.
so 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 here's what I did like. I liked that visually it looked like a good movie, like it was supposed to actually be a good movie. They checked all the boxes, like it looked good
And I think this is
visually.
the best iteration of the Fantastic Four we've ever gotten on the silver screen.
Well, that's
I'm
not
not
hard.
I it isn't hard, but it is notable though. This is the best I've ever seen Stretch Powers. I've never seen Stretch
Yeah,
Powers that looked more convincing. I
yeah,
was
yeah, I
with it.
disagree.
No?
I didn't like it at all. I didn't like that
No?
at all. So what I did like, and I agree with you, we talked about this with Herbie. I thought that they missed an opportunity. I told y'all that I thought the dog Crypto was annoying, but man, the marketing behind that dog is forever going to be a money making IP from DC.
And that's what
And I
Herbie
thought
should
they
have been.
dropped the ball. That's what Herbie absolutely should have been, whether I like it or not, right? You
He
have to
should have been
cater to
like
all
BB-8.
audiences, and you have an opportunity with Herbie to do something that you didn't do. He just became like a weird plot device, not even a great plot device, like just really weird. Like, oh yeah, by the way, Herbie's here as well. Oh yeah, here's Herbie. I really like Vanessa Kirby as Invisible Woman. I can say that. I thought she carried the film in the few times that we saw her. So we didn't get to see her as much as we could have. I thought
Mm.
she really carried the film. My favorite line in the entire film was Johnny, kill her. And it just giving shades of Invisible Woman being that malice character that she
Yep.
can become, that
Yep.
really, giving shades of that. I just thought like, whoa, she just straight up like kill her. She's
Yeah.
trying to kill your nephew. Like, yo,
Right.
that was just a very powerful line. I did like her speech outside of the Baxter building. I thought it was underwhelming. I thought that moment should have been stronger. I
Yeah.
don't know if it was because it was something the actor couldn't carry. If it suffered from not really writing a good monologue for her, because it should have been something really strong. I do like what she said. I love the two-liner where I'm not going to sacrifice my baby for the world, but I'm not going to sacrifice the world
That
for my
should have
baby.
felt like
Like
listen, we're talking about
it,
that moment now,
yeah,
and I'm getting
yeah,
goosebumps
yeah,
because it should have been like the
yeah.
equivalent of the speech that was given in Independence Day. That's what it should have been. It should have made me feel like
Hmm.
fired the fuck up for the next act. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah. So
it just didn't do it. Under the bar.
so I thought Shala Bell was phenomenal.
Phenomenal, bro.
I
Agreed.
really enjoyed that Silver Surfer. Really, really, really well done.
Yes.
Really well done, especially and considering the pushback, years, 2 years at least worth of pushback of
Yeah.
people against choosing to go with the female Silver Surfer over
Yeah.
Norrin Rad's version of the Silver Surfer. But I thought it was extremely well done. I'm not as impressed with Galactus as most people are. I didn't think it was
Mm.
terrible at all. I didn't really care for the Earth, the version that could walk the Earth. I thought that the version that they encountered in space was pretty great. Was very formidable. It looked very imposing. It gave you the awe that you were really dealing with a thing. I feel like one of the things that I've said this to someone else, a mutual friend of ours. I feel like that movie should have been. I think that there are two things I would have changed. One, I would have done everything I did with Franklin without Franklin actually having been born. I would have done everything, but with Franklin in the womb. I don't think Franklin was necessary to complete the things that they completed with Franklin. I think he could have he could have resurrected mom, all of that from the womb. One. Two, I feel like they could have made that if they really wanted to drive home, hey, we're back. This is the last Marvel movie of the year. It's the beginning of the next phase. These are the first steps. I think they could have done how they ended the best phase of Marvel with Infinity War and Endgame. I think they could have began this phase with a split movie. Drop this movie exactly how they dropped it, and then give us more, because in the comics they defeated Galactus with a MacGuffin, literally
Yes.
with a MacGuffin called the
Yes.
Ultimate
Ultimate
Nullifier.
nullifier.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which to me means this was a temporary defeat of Galactus, and then you come with the next
I mean, it wasn't even a
a
defeat of Galactus. They just kind of like shoved
right.
him away. So he
Right, right. So I
temporarily
felt like
wouldn't be,
this is a
yeah.
good first part of a movie. Like, if you tell me this was just the first part, I'm like, "Okay, that's dope. I can't wait to see the
Like a
sequel."
Kill Bill 1, Kill Bill 2 kinda situation?
Like a Infinity War, Infinity Game type of situation.
Infinity War Endgame kinda situation?
Endgame type of situation.
Yeah,
So
but
start
there was
off this
so much
phase.
space between that.
Yeah, but start off this phase. You know,
And
you
it
film the
and
whole movie, you split it in 2, you don't change anything, and you know that, okay, we're gonna, because I think that that would have made this movie better. I think if I knew that this wasn't the end, and that this was just the temporary defeat of Galactus, if I knew that and that this was just part 1 of a 2-part film, I would probably have graded it higher and felt better about it overall. The biggest thing I didn't like, and I don't like to nitpick over little things. I could tell you I didn't like the thing. I could tell you there's some inconsistencies. I don't like to do that. I'll leave that to my man. You know, I'll leave that to our boy. I don't like to do that. I can tell you that without knowing anything about the future, I feel like this movie completely slapped in the face the end credit scene we got in Thunderbolts. It doesn't give us a satisfactory explanation for that end credit scene, and that is the one nitpicky gripe that I have, that we
I
don't
don't
get
think
a
it's
satis
nitpicky. I think it was resounding. The level of disappointment in that end credit scene was made ripples across the internet. People were very upset. Um, they were very disappointed. And I don't it was almost it's so funny because it came off like it came across like they really thought this was gonna be a huge end credit scene to show this partial reveal of Doom, right? This
Yeah, but I'm talking
partial
about the Thunderbolts end credit scene where we got the
Yeah, I
Fantastic
know.
Four ship entering the
I know,
mainstream
but
universe.
the end credit scene didn't speak to why that was happening at all,
Right,
right?
at
But
all. No,
but
the
they
movie
show
didn't.
but I think that Feige and the team looked at it like, "Yo, we're gonna give him a piece of this here, Doctor Doom, and that's gonna speak to why we're there." You know what I mean? Like, why that's happening or whatever.
But it's crazy because you're living under a rock if you think that you're gonna put out a Fantastic Four movie and you've cast Doctor Doom and you're not gonna get Doctor Doom. Like, anyone who thought that was living under a rock. You had to know
I
that you were
mean,
gonna get
I'm
something Doom related.
I'm the proverbial rock here. I thought that by the time the movie was over, I had forgotten about Doom altogether because Doom
Yeah.
hadn't really, yeah, he had not been introduced. And I wanted to see Doom. I looked and hoped to see Doom at some point in the movie, but it definitely was like, well, I guess we're not gonna see him. And then when I saw him, I was kind of like, well, why you only showing me his back? I mean, you ain't did nothing. Like what? And then ultimately,
Well, I
I'm
show you his
watching the
back
credits.
because I don't have to pay Robert Downey Jr. a lot of money to
Well,
be
I
in an end
know,
credit
I
scene.
know, I know the logistics behind it, right? But it
That's what
was,
it is.
but it again, it was not worth me staying. It wasn't worth me staying. It moved nothing. It changed nothing. It didn't get me hyped and anticipated for anything at all. So what's
Well,
happening here? We know that. Go ahead.
If anything, the Thunderbolts end credit scene got people hyped and anticipated for Fantastic Four. And then
Yeah,
what you got, especially in considering that end credit scene, left people like, "Wait a minute,
yeah.
huh?"
That does not set a good precedence for Avengers Doomsday. Because now it's telling me what I'm gathering from all of this is that Avengers Doomsday is about Doom taking Franklin and them chasing Doom to get Franklin back.
Well, where's my investment? Because you just said it. What is the Avengers, the like Marvel's other phases with 50% of their movies, in my opinion, being bad and 50% being good, set up the end game, so to speak, and no pun intended, right? Their other phases set up their end game. You were invested in Infinity War and Endgame because the movies preceding them set it up and prepared you for it. You're asking me to contribute and commit to Doomsday with no setup, with no preparation. None of the movies you dropped from across Captain America to, they're not even consistent. They're not cohesive, right? So you get the end credit scene in Captain America saying that something's coming, right? And then you get the end credit scene in Fantastic Four with the little spaceship. And then you get these end credit scenes with the snippet of Doctor Doom, but it doesn't set up an investment. It doesn't say, "Hey, this is what has happened in between this and this." So there's no bridging of these gaps. It's
I feel
just,
like
"Oh,
we're
we're
all
gonna
over
put
the
out a
place right
super
now.
film." Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it is very much so like a right now it's going to feel like a um they're doing the team up the annual team up movie. Like, in Marvel, when they do the crossover events, it
Yeah.
feels like we're doing the crossover event because we got to, right? And I don't know how much Jonathan Majors threw all of this out, through all this out. You know what? I think that everyone would have lost their shit if Kang was the one that was gonna take Franklin. That would have been fucking something.
I mean, it makes sense, right? They're related.
Right, you know what I'm saying? If Kang and I mean just to see Jonathan Majors again as Kang coming in and then being that would have set people on fire because then you're like, well, wait, Kang and Doomsday is happening? Like, what is Doomsday now? You know what I mean? Like, kind of shit. And I think that would have driven more hype over seeing the back of Doom, right? And then again, you don't have to pay Jonathan Majors to reprise his role, right? But I think that that would have done what you said. It would have started to tie things together. It would have started to, give me some
Yeah.
investment because now we're like, okay, this thing is happening with Clea and Stephen Strange, right? And there's all these encourage who
Clee.
fucking motherfucking Clea
Clee Strange.
Clea Strange. I thought it was Clea.
Her name is Clee. But I mean,
Okay, whatever. Okay. Well, that chick, okay, so Clee and Doctor Strange, they're dealing with a bunch of incursions, right? That's a big thing that's happening for them. And so you got these incursions happening, and then you got the Thunderbolts seeing the Fantastic Four coming in, and they're like, oh, why are they coming here from another world that's in another multiverse, right? And then you have these things with these bands happening in Shang-Chi, and these other relics and it's sending a beacon. Now, all of these things start to tie
you just
together.
have a history of end credit scenes that have that haven't been satisfied, so to speak, right?
They
They
haven't been
haven't
tied
there
together.
hasn't been there's not even
I
hasn't been
think
tied
I think
together.
that
They haven't been explained.
if they would have used Kang as opposed to that one, everyone would have flipped out because that would have been a dope fucking reveal that JM was back, right? And I think that would have built hype and anticipation for what was to come because we already know that Doom's gonna come in and rip out Kang's fucking spine.
So you didn't cancel Jonathan Majors.
Of course not. Why would I?
Okay. Well,
I
because we were
I
talking
I
about that earlier and,
I
our
feel
bar for
I
cancellation and what have
yeah,
you.
that his bar, what happened, absolutely was not a bar for canceling. Not by my metrics at all. By trying to manage a situation as best you can under that kind of duress and not end up being plastered on the side of a wall as a monster. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, no. Like, no. I mean, I
Mm.
think that the people that went after him, I mean, that's like me canceling Johnny Depp. That's how I look at that. You know what I mean? Somebody was reaching for some. I mean, even the verdict that they landed on with Jonathan Majors to me was a bullshit verdict. They were split. They just had to say something because they didn't want to like total assholes. But like, yo, man, I mean, like what we're saying, yo, he didn't do the shit that the public was trying to say he did. He negligently put her inside of an SUV to avoid her getting hit by a car and cause some type of duress or harm to her while he was running away and she got out the car and ran after him. The fuck out of here.
I am a big fan of Jonathan Majors, been following him for a long time, love his work. I did not cancel Jonathan Majors. That having been said, I don't know what happened on that day. I'm not going to presume to know. I'm not going to take anything away or add anything to other than I feel like I have a feeling like what happened to Jonathan Majors was probably unjust. It was probably overdone. The visceral response towards him, to me, I think is an overreaction, and that is based upon a feeling because I can't know. That having been said, he has not been canceled in my book. And speaking of canceled, we getting ready to get up out of here. We getting ready to roll, man. I know you wanted to tell them about something we were going to talk about. We're not.
Yeah, we'll get to that next week. We'll talk about we'll talk about the rankings for the MCU movies of how the Fantastic Four has had an impact on our rankings totally. It made me go back and reshuffle my whole thing. If you're on my socials, you'll see I started posting a couple, images of it, but we'll get into the weeds of it next week. Make sure you tune in. Ish, go on and take us out of here.
So we are here for the smoke. We here for it. That means I'm gonna need you to go ahead and take my homeboy Mad Attack to task. I call him Mad Attack. You will too. I'm gonna need you to take Mad Attack to task on this Pusha T top 20 list. Look for him at some point in time to make public his metrics because they are actually really dope. But yo, hold this man's feet to the fire. Listen, do all the things. And what I mean by do all the things is I need you to continue to support us by going to all of our social medias. Go over to Better Word Than Blurred on TikTok. Find Better Word Than Blurred on Instagram. Follow us. Find us on Facebook. We got a really dope Facebook page. I need you to go to Facebook, find Better Word Than Blurred on Facebook, and you better be here on YouTube, pressing thumbs ups, notification bells, and subscribing. Do that. Till next week, we will be back with a Better Word Than Blurred. Pieces.
Holla.